So in the first detailed part of this series, I'm going to talk a little bit about the group manpower, the initial group manpower. To run a security operation, you're really going to need about a dozen people. Now, I've broken this down to an 11-person minimum because at any given time, somebody's probably going to be down and unavailable. And that's just a given. Okay, that's people who aren't showing up work, people who are sick, or whatever's going on with that. Now, under those types of situations, here's the way I'm breaking it down. Your leadership in your security type environment is going to be 3 persons. Then you've got your patrol and your guard element. That's 4 persons who are doing it full time. Your fire watch, these are people who need to be on your security roster. They need to be qualified shooters of one kind or another, but they're not necessarily full-time people. The reason I put them on a security roster is they probably have other jobs around your retreat or around your situation, which will involve logistics, support, productivity. Maybe they handle chow and some other things like that. And those additional 4 people, though, are going to be primarily security people who have an extra job. That's 11 shooters that you need for every non-fighter. Now, that's per location. So if you have a few non-fighters and at one position with those 11 shooters, that's just to run a standard watch. Now, a lot of people are going to think, well, if I've got 11 shooters, we can dominate and control 100 people or 1,000 people. Not necessarily. Realize that in survival retreat situations, remote retreat situations, you can't readily turn those types of things into a prison camp. Imprisoning people requires special facilities, okay? Now, in shit hit the fan, martial law, police state situations, you need to understand the extreme dangers of those who are in possession of a specialized facility which is capable of imprisoning people. In fact, I would consider it to be critically important that in the name of freedom, a lot of those types of places need to be disabled or destroyed. You need to understand that if somebody is manning a facility like that, they are doing so to their own advantage and for the purpose of controlling and dominating others who probably may not deserve that level of control and dominance. Because under those types of circumstances, it's going to be a profit-driven, self-interest-driven operation. On that type of a thing, there may be people who try to run an operation of dominating others. They're still going to have these same manpower requirements. And that's why small groups that think they're going to maraud and dominate others, maybe go in armed and take over a survival retreat and start controlling and dominating people, it's very unrealistic. They're probably also unrealistic to the point of being not mentally stable. So yes, it is a very dangerous situation. If people carefully think through those as options, they should be coming to the conclusion that it's not workable without specialized facilities. And thus, your primary danger is going to be those who are in possession of specialized facilities of that nature. You need to understand that threats used to control others versus coordination will motivate resistance. That resistance may come in several different forms. It may come in passive resistance. It may come in a lack of motivation of people to coordinate with you. There may be a lack of motivation to perform. During World War II, the Nazis thought that it was really smart to shift from the outright extermination of undesirable people and Jews and others that were within their society or within their sphere of control. They wanted to shift from outright extermination of those people to the enslavement of those people as the loyalist German population was depleted through bombing and famine and siege and things like that. And what they found among the workers under those circumstances was greatly reduced work performance, sabotage, and even relatively high suicide rates. If you don't coordinate loyally and loyalty with your people, it's not going to work out in the long run. In fact, it may not even work out in the short run. Realize that the old death from within t-shirt that they used to give out to some of the cooks, that become a pretty critical issue if somebody simply decides to put the wrong types of mushrooms in a stew that's eaten by the guard force. So again, I think that as a lot of people think through those options, they're going to understand that coordination works a hell of a lot better than domination and enslavement in a situation where the rules have changed. There is not a large and pervasive criminal justice system or social order that would enforce a set of disparative, unfair rules which support the enslavement of others. Then we also have to look at the fact that any situation which has a lot of resentment, there's going to be people who would start to deny food, material, fellowship, and affection to those who are dominating or enslaving them. And in longer term situations, it may sound funny, but let's look at bad marriages and how long do they really last before things really fall apart for everybody involved. Denial of affection, bad fellowship. If you abuse your wife, and does that mean that her brothers and her cousins are going to come and help you and back you up if you need help? Probably not. They're going to look for an opportunity to get you out of the picture, even if they're very much afraid of you. So you need to look at those types of things. Now, let's talk about, in the next segment, security details very specifically.